Hey, thanks so much for joining me on the show today.
Thank you for having me on, Jared. Super excited for my first podcast recording here.
Yeah, when you told me that, I was so excited. That happened. That's happened basically a few times over the last few years, but it's always so exciting when this can be the first time you're on a podcast. And what I'm really excited about, this is happening post Human X. So I'd love to get your thoughts at some point during this conversation. But let's kick things off with telling the audience a little bit about your background and Obvious Ventures, and then we'll just have a good conversation today.
Sounds good. Hi everyone. I'm Kahini Shah. I'm a partner here at Obvious Ventures. I studied electrical and computer engineering in college. I loved to build things. I loved 0 to 1. And in 2011, my first job out of school was in natural language processing, and I now kind of call it a little bit of luck meets fate with this new AI boom. But worked on some satellite projects as a software engineer, and then in 2015, really wanted to double down on this AI thing. So started consulting at Booz Allen, building out solutions around search, chatbots, a lot of what we're seeing today. Went to business school at Wharton, and Google's early stage AI fund reached out called Gradient Ventures. So I worked there for 2.5 years in enterprise and infrastructure investing, and now I've been at Obvious for 2.5 years. And just to tell you a little bit about Obvious, we're an early stage venture capital fund based in Silicon Valley, started by Ev Williams, co-founder of Twitter and Medium, and two other general partners, James Joaquin and Vishal Vasisht. And we're founded with the ethos of world positive investing. So we're looking for venture scale returns, but really looking to solve big societal challenges. And with that, we invest in planetary health, human health, economic health. And examples of investments we've made is Recursion Pharmaceuticals, an AI-based drug discovery platform, Dexterity Robotics, really automating in the logistics space, Diamond Foundry, Lab Made Diamonds, and so really investing in AI in from multiple different directions and dimensions here. Manage $1.1 billion seed Series A, check sizes between 1 and 15 million, and I do a lot of our AI investing across the stack from healthcare infrastructure.
Really cool. Thank you for that intro. Would love to hear more about some of the areas that you're particularly bullish in regarding AI, because I think, we'll talk more about Human X in a little bit, but I think the reason an event like a Human X can flourish is because there's so much noise out there with what people are doing, and it kind of, scraping past all of that to see like what are the best use cases. So I'd love to know the particular areas regarding AI that you are bullish in.
I think I divide this into maybe a couple different sectors. I think there's the AI is making potential science fiction things true. So the idea of an AI scientist, for example, whether it's for new material discovery or new drug discovery, with the help of AI, can we do research? Can we generate hypotheses? Can we do experimentations? If we need to do something physically in a lab, can we use robotics to do it, get some data and close the loop? We think AI can start helping and creating this new process of scientific discovery for materials, for new biology, therapeutics. And we're calling this at Obvious generative science. So that's kind of what we see, the cutting edge. And then there's what can we do practically today that AI really helps with? And we invest in a lot of healthcare companies. So maybe I'll take an example from that domain. But just thinking about healthcare at large and thinking about it really simply, right? It's delivering care, it's administering the care, and then it's creating better care. And in the administering of care in the United States alone, we spend $1.2 trillion on it. Doctors spend 25 to 30% of their time documenting and taking notes. It's such a great use case for AI to do dictation and note taking for doctors. And we see a lot of these like low risk, low complexity workflows, whether it is in medicine, legal, financial segments that can really help people and boost productivity there. We've all seen like coding agents and like what's happening with like cursor. There's just like so much potential, I'd say, in that like low risk productivity bucket over there. And then sticking on where this could be going, and for the healthcare example, can we help do better diagnoses in healthcare? If we look at the ER, it's 5.7% misdiagnosis each year. Around like 7 people get diagnosed, sorry, in the ER alone in the United States. Can we have AI really boost the standard of care for everybody? So whether you're going to Mayo Clinic or to a community hospital, can we help all outcomes be excellent? So really looking across the board here.
I love it. I have a saying internally, I always do, where I always say for everything, I'm like, just do the obvious. It's amazing though how often when I do that, it never steers me in the wrong path, right? I do you think like kind of separate related, but do you think there's some applications that maybe have yet to be created leveraging AI today that we as a society just need to do the obvious? Like there's so many things that like you were mentioning like dictation, right? To me, that is a very much do the obvious type moment. It makes total sense to automate that so that they can spend more time with the patient. Clinicians did not go to school so they could do all the paperwork and all they want to give care to patients. So that makes sense. Are there any other areas that you think fall in that do the obvious bucket that we're either not addressing enough right now or we're not addressing at all?
So it's funny. I don't know if you meant to make a pun on the word obvious. A lot of people do, and we have this saying at Obvious that all good ideas are obvious in hindsight. And I think everything you're saying could not be more true with AI. I think we're so early in the cycle. We are going to see more physician note taking tools, more coding assistants when we look at it and we're like, that was obvious. And those are the founders that I'm quite frankly excited to meet, right? And hopefully, when we meet at the pre seed and seed, that their ideas will be obvious to us when we meet them. But yeah, I think new markets are going to be created, new products are going to be created in hindsight. It have been obvious to us.
It is interesting though, right? Because all those ideas that, you put in the bucket of obvious in hindsight, many of them were very misunderstood when they first started. I think that's what makes your job very hard is you see so many companies. You have to try to find the ones that, ooh, this might be misunderstood now, but because we'll be,
Yes.
looking back, it'll be obvious. That is very difficult. Um, what is your like? Do you have anything particular that you like to follow, specifically when you're looking at now these AI companies that you kind of mentioned it, right? The founder needs to have that feeling that they're going to do something that's going to look obvious looking back. But is there anything else?
With AI, nothing has changed about the fundamentals of business building or the fundamentals of venture capital. It's just the technology is changing quickly beneath us, and in a little bit, the rate of creation and destruction is high, so we need to adapt to it. But fundamentally, it has changed. So when I look at a company, it might be cliche at the early stages, but we're still looking for great teams and good markets, right? So team and TAM, still true. And then I like to look for what I call product market fit, like why this product for this market. But again, at the pre-seed seed, it might not even be like obvious then. So then it's maybe more on the founder, right? Founder market fit, like why this person for this market? What is the unique insight? What is the unique AI technical skill set that could do it? Like, will they pivot into an idea? And a lot of it is, I think, really unchanged from how venture capital has been.
It's super interesting because like I moderated a panel at HumanX basically on how AI is impacting venture investing now.
Mhm.
And one of the things I brought up, and there were some mixed remarks on it, but when you're looking at these companies and their decks and their basically plans, does AI impact that though at all? In that anyone that's coming to you with like a hiring, like here's who we want to hire over the next couple of years, ideally, if all things go well, like in theory, that plan a couple of years ago would have had a lot more people now than the plans you're probably seeing today, right? And is that like a red flag if you're seeing oh, you need way more people than you think you do in this new AI first world.
Oh, are you talking about the fact that companies are more capital efficient? You need
Yes.
fewer employees per revenue generated.
Yeah, so I know you said like essentially the fundamentals haven't changed, but maybe I guess my question is have the what you're looking for, has that like the standards even, I mean, you were already high standards as well, but have they gone up even higher because now all of a sudden you should be seeing companies that are more capital efficient. Just want to hear your thoughts on that.
I think I've seen some of the capital efficient company scoreboards, the idea that Sam Altman threw out about $1 billion one person company. For me, it's just early. It's like not something that I'm paying attention to or selecting on or saying like this is the way that it should be. Um, but I think it's a function of it's getting easier to build software. And each wave, whether it's cloud, whether it's more abstraction from software engineering, I think makes it easier to build and ship product. But it's certainly like a trend I've observed, but just kind of like just observing it right now versus selecting on it.
It's definitely early. I think Sam Altman really put it out there super, super early, right?
Yeah.
Like hey, he's done that. It hasn't hurt him. So like keep doing it, keep putting these ideas out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I agree with you. I think is it possible we'll have that one person $1 billion company? Sure. But I guess the question is, do we also want that in some cases, right? Like some of these companies that have flourished, it's been because they've had these great teams, right? Like, do we think that's also sustainable? I think the verdict's still out on it, but we'll see what ends up happening. Um, would love to hear your thoughts a little bit on Human X Year One, by the way. We're kind of freshly back from that conference. It hasn't been too long since it ended. Would love to hear your thoughts on how that all went for a year one event. I was very excited for how they put this event together. Probably the best year one event I've ever been to, and one of the better conferences.
Absolutely. I would say for a year one event, phenomenal job. Um, it was awesome catching up with VCs and founders that I've known in the community for a long time and excited that it'll be in San Francisco next time. I've grown accustomed to AI conferences, being in nice places, not that Vegas and Fontainebleau wasn't very
But like
nice.
close proximity to like
Yeah,
nice area and not a far commute for you at all.
yeah. It happens to be convenient for me, which is great.
Specifically, I mean, for other events potentially too, but specifically for an AI conference, it seems like San Francisco will be a very good place. I'm really excited to see, first off, what new AI startups pop up over the next year between, now and next year's event, but also, uh, kudos to their content team because there's never been a space, right? That there's so much changing. They're going to have to be monitoring everything that's happening in the space over the next year to put together another great agenda. So I'm excited for it. It should be
Yeah,
great.
absolutely.
Um, would love to hear, you know, any companies in your but as we start to wrap up here, but any companies, I know you don't want to pick favorites, but any companies you want to like spotlight here today that you've recently invested in. I like to do that sometimes when we have investors on the show.
Um, sure. I'll do one that's top of mind. They're all my favorites. That's actually how I start every one-on-one call with my founders.
They have to be.
They
Yep.
have to be. Um, but one in particular that I'm really excited for right now because it's a moment in time is Oumi. They emerged from stealth a year and a half ago. And what they're doing is it's an open source platform to curate, train, deploy, evaluate fully open source models or fine tune fully open source models and work with them like Llama and DeepSeek. The team, they're coming from Apple, Google. They've productionized large models like Gemini, and they have collaborators across the academic community from 13 leading universities like Stanford, Berkeley, Carnegie Mellon, Princeton. And the thesis really is we need more open source AI. We shouldn't concentrate power just with OpenAI, Anthropic. I think DeepSeek has shown us the power of open weight models, as has Llama. So, how do we bring the research community around democratizing these models if they start becoming potentially smaller, easier to train? There could be, again, more open source opportunities for innovation. So we're really excited about them. They launched in a couple of days. They went to number one of the GitHub leaderboards and trended there for 4 days. It's at around 8,000 stars right now and are seeing a lot of community engagement. So I'm very excited for them right now.
Spell it out for us real quick too, so we make sure we tag it appropriately.
Yeah, it's called Oumi, Oumi.
Awesome. Really cool. Um, we'll put some links too in like the not necessarily the show notes, but like in the comment section, so people can go and check out what they're doing as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
That's great. I'm sure they would love that. Thank you.
awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, we could talk for so long. And I definitely want to have you come back on at some point. We can kind of go through like anytime you make a new investment or something, let us know because we can also like do a quick video to talk about it. Want to stay on top of all this cool stuff that you're investing in. Um, but really appreciate you spending some time here today, telling us a little bit about Obvious Ventures, your background, as well as some of the areas you're particularly bullish on with AI.
Thank you for having me on, Jared. This was awesome.